Yes, thank you very much. It's a great pleasure for me to speak here in this first ever Aalto Science Day. And I hope there will be lots of continuation to this event. We are, in terms of scale, physical scale, we are somewhere in between the galactic scale and the nanoscale. So we are partly in the global scale, partly in the country level scale, so to say, and partly even at the village scale in Cambodia or Laos or some of these Asian countries. My name is Olli Varis, as I was introduced. This is very much a teamwork what I'm presenting with Matti Kummu, who is not here, Marko Keskinen, who is over there with the glasses, and Misan, who is over there, Misan Urahaman. So, and we call us a Water and Development Group at the School of Engineering, Water and Environment Research Group. And we are also running a study program called Sustainable Global Technologies, which is very much a kind of Aalto level attempt. We are working closely together with School of Economics and School of Art and Design in that. So if we look at the motivation for doing this kind of water studies globally and continentally in Asia, I have some basic data. If we go back to something like 1960, when I was close to that time when I was born, so the world's population was only, I would say, only 3 billion at that time, and the number of the share of the population who were living in areas which were water scarce was something like maybe 500 million people. If you look at the figures of today, there's something like 7 billion people this year on this planet, and you can see that the number of people who are living in water-scarce areas has been escalating quite a lot. But this is not the final picture. So if we go a couple of decades ahead in time, we see that also in absolute figures, the number of people who are living in water-scarce areas is still growing quite a lot, but also proportion-wise, maybe if we look at today's figure, almost half of the population is in such areas, and after a couple of decades, 2/3 will be in those areas. So this water scarcity might be good news for those who are working with nanocellulose and trying to keep water away, but for many other people it's not so good news. So if I put very bluntly the demographic change in the next couple of decades on this planet, I can say that urban population in Asia will double, African urban population will triple, and the other changes are relatively small. If you look at any UN prediction or any other population prediction on this planet, this is a very interesting thing. And we are interested in this Asian expansion, not only population-wise, but also in terms of economic development, social changes, and pressure to environment. If you are looking at the Asia's big transition a little bit closer, we can see that in the past 10 years, from 2000 to 2010, the share of the global investment, foreign direct investment, has been really expanding in areas which are so-called developing countries. So outside of OECD, outside of European Union. Countries like China, other Asian countries, but also other countries in Latin America and so forth, they have they already take something like almost half of the investment on this planet, and no wonder that we are discussing quite a lot about financial crisis here in Europe. You can look at this blue column of Europe. It's been going down pretty sharply. I don't go into details why, but it's very interesting to see that it's going up in areas such as China. In China, this share has been growing fivefold in the past 10 years, the global share. And this translates to a certain level to the economic growth, cross-national impact in the middle graph there at the bottom. And there's lots of momentum, so we will see what will happen in the future. But unfortunately, it also translates into environmental pollution and environmental load, and a load to natural resources such as water, very sharply. But it also translates into this kind of big divide of urbanization or dilemma when people are moving from rural villages to urban areas. Many of them dream about this kind of middle class, nice life. What you can see this there on the modern urban figure. But very many in Asian countries end up in urban slums and very marginalized conditions. And this is a kind of tragedy of the one of the tragedies of this development. Not everybody is taking along in this great move forward. So what are we looking at in terms of geographic areas? We have two very linked dimensions or spheres of interest. One is the global scale, and one is the Asian scale that you can see on the map. I go a little bit further in detail later. I mentioned a few case studies, or few examples what we are doing at the global scale in order to see what is going on in Asia and in Europe. It's very, very important, we think, to have a kind of global context well in command in order to put the Asian or European developments into proper context. These are just some results from recent studies. Matti Kummu, whom I mentioned in the beginning, is leading this kind of studies. We are looking at future projections of water scarcity. We are looking at the food chain from field to our plates and to our mouth, how much disappears, how the diet changes, and so forth, because it influences water and natural resources in a very dramatic way. We are looking at different geographic profiles of pressure to environment, water use, water scarcity, and so forth. You can find lots of publications from which are freely downloadable from our web pages or from our library system. I go back to this Asia-Pacific region, which is highly interesting to us, and kind of, I would say that our group more or less shares this passion of working with these huge and very diverse river basins, from Chinese big basins such as Yellow River, Yangtze and Pearl River, to Red River, Mekong, Chao Phraya in Thailand, and Irrawaddy Salween in Burma, Myanmar, and this huge Ganges Brahmaputra Meghna system in South Asia. This is the home of Misanur Rahman and his primary research area. So he's really our expert on this in this part of the Asian research area. And then we move a little bit further to the west, to Indus Basin with Pakistan. I should actually add a couple of more basins to this map due to our recent activities in Central Asia. We have been expanding our sphere a little bit to the west, northwest, to the Aral Sea Basin, which is really interesting, very problematic, so to say, in terms of environment and social development in the past half a century, and calls, I think, calls lots of attention. Marco will talk a little bit more about the Mekong River Basin later. So we try to combine this kind of physical studies of water and environment, physical and chemical and so forth, with social and economic studies and with policies and institutions. It's kind of triple bottom line what we are looking at. It's a kind of challenging but interesting combination, and each of our researchers tries to keep this kind of context in mind, although everybody's specializing in one of the corners. And what we saw in the previous presentation comes close to what we have been doing in some of our policy and institutional analysis, where Marco is really the expert guy. So it's needless to say that the methodological palette is very diverse that we are using. So we are not painting in one color or two colors, we are painting with very many colors at the same time. And lots of our motivation comes from this combination of having societal impact and scientific impact at the same time. So we try not to compromise either of them, but try to make them work hand in hand. So we are publishing quite a lot, I would say. I know that many of you are doing the same, so we are in the same boat. And we have also been publishing quite a lot, several books in the past 5 years to spread out our research and in combination with our research projects. We also have tried to keep the societal impact very active and very strong, and we have been working very closely together with important policy organizations in Asia Pacific, such as Mekong River Commission or major non-governmental organizations, universities, and even Asian Development Bank. So this is what I was saying. Those of you who don't know Finnish, my family name means crow. It's one of the birds, beautiful or not, it's a matter of taste, but it has been taken to my face logo. So now comes this guy whose name is Marco.
Thank you, Olli. We are running out of time, so I will take you in 3 minutes to Southeast Asia, to Mekong, to try to explain a bit more precisely what we do. We've just finalizing a project called Exploring Mekong Region Futures, which actually reminded me quite a bit in process-wise the SimLab presentation earlier. Mekong is the 10th largest river in the world, seeing extensive development that is related to the economic growth of Asia. There is more than 101 large hydropower dams planned for that basin, mainly in China and Laos. And it has 6 very different riparian countries with very interesting political dynamics, and loads of winners and loads of losers of that development, obviously. We've been active in the region for the past 10 years, actually, doing loads of research with the Mekong River Commission. But now we are collaborating with Australian Research Institute, looking at the nexus between water change. And we are ourselves leading a project on the map which is on orange, B and C, in Cambodia. And essentially we are guiding governments of Cambodia's investment decisions in the area and try to influence them towards what we believe is a more sustainable option. What we do, we look at water, natural resources and livelihoods, and we do it with the help of quite detailed technical analysis, but we couple them with the social livelihood, economic analysis, and also with the policy and institutional studies. And a great deal of our work is actually to work with the science policy stakeholder interface, trying to understand how science could influence policies in a meaningful way. And my last slide, just to summarize perhaps, is that, for example, in this project that we have carried out past 2 years now, we ran a series of scenario workshops that were essentially, for me, very similar to simulation days that you had, where we essentially feed to the politicians the outcomes of our research and use, for example, art students from local fine arts university to illustrate the kind of different visions that the participants got for future scenarios. And then, as Olli mentioned, at the same time trying to churn out their academic work also in it, and actually have the case studies and have the evidence we get from the empirical work we do actually influence the theories we are developing. And the latest one, for example, looks at the cumulative impacts of this hydropower development and climate change on the Mekong, and how it will change the benefits from the river. But with these words, I thank you and remind you that many of our articles are online there if you're interested, so please visit our website. Thank you.